Hello and welcome to Everything Fear. Today we're going to be looking at a Netflix double bill of horror movies that I checked out this week. Hello and welcome to Everything Fear, your one-stop shop for all things horror. I'm Kit Tinsley. I'm a horror author, film academic and general horror geek. If you like this video, if you could please subscribe, give us a like or tickle that bell icon to be notified when we upload future content, that would be great, thank you. So today I'm going to be looking at two movies that I watched on Netflix this week. First up is a film called Don't Listen.
Who wakes you up?
The voices.
What do the voices want?
Not allowed to tell you.
This Spanish horror movie has just started streaming on Netflix and is directed by Angel Gomez Hernandez. It's a supernatural horror film which seems to take some inspiration from The Conjuring, I think. Now, I'm a big fan of Spanish horror, and they seem to be able to do supernatural horror movies in a really unsettling and emotional way. This film centres on a family who've just bought a big old house with the intention of renovating it and then selling it on. Since they have been living in the house, their young son has been having trouble sleeping due to the voices he's hearing within the house. This leads to a terrible tragedy and then contact with the spirit world. Paranormal investigations and witchcraft come into play before the terrible truth is revealed in a really heartbreaking ending. So what did I like about this film? It looks great. The cinematography in this film is beautiful. Spanish horror generally does this really well, and this film is no exception, where every shot can be equally beautiful and menacing. Every shadow could be something untoward waiting in the wings. This creates a wonderful sense of unease. The story's pretty good, linking the evil within the house to events of the Spanish Inquisition, which is an interesting period in history. The acting in this film is really well done, particularly by Rodolfo Sancho, who plays the father of the family. And his performance is really subtle and emotional, and you really feel for this guy, even at the very end. This film, like many other Spanish horror movies, builds tension so well. I don't know what it is, but they always seem to be able to build this suspense and sense of unease that really adds to the tension in the horror genre. What didn't I like? Well, I felt that in a few places the film dragged a little. It seemed to start really well, building the tension, and then took the foot off the gas or something, and it just became a little slow for a little while. I know this was probably done to try and aid character development, but for me it made the film drag a little in the middle, although it picks up again towards the end. This film is really bleak and depressing, and that's quite a common trait in Spanish horror. Some of my favourites, like Fragile or The Orphanage, have this very dark, depressing, bleak feel, and they give us tragic endings. But those endings, like the ending of The Orphanage, although tragic, it's also a really heartwarming and beautiful moment. They are happy, sad endings. This film, however, it just makes the tragedy that occurred earlier in the film even more horrendous and sad and bleak. There is no respite. There is no heartwarming feeling at the end of this film. It's just quite bleak, and that kind of let it down for me a little. On the whole, this is an entertaining and interesting enough film. I'd just avoid it if you were already feeling a little bit down. Next up, we move from Spanish horror into Polish horror with a film called Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight.
Is anybody in there? Grab my hand. Wait there, I'll go get help.
This is honestly the first Polish horror movie I think I've ever seen, and it was really good fun. The story revolves around a group of tech-addicted teens who've been sent to this camp in the woods to have their devices taken away from them, to get offline and really reconnect with themselves and the world around them. They encounter and are picked off one by a pair of mutated hillbilly brothers living in the woods. It's a film that's heavily influenced by American slasher movies and redneck horror movies, and it really does have its tongue firmly in its cheek, this one. What I liked about this one was that the cinematography was beautiful. Some of the shots of the countrysides and the woods, absolutely stunning, and it all was lit with that sort of golden Hollywood hue that you tend to see in American movies, and seeing that on the Polish countryside was really quite beautiful. The kids in this movie are all really good, both the actors and the characters. They start off seeming like typical stereotypes you would find in a slasher movie. The jock, the moody one, the geeky kid. But as the film unfolds, you find out that there's more to each of them than you initially thought. Their characters are much deeper. They're not surface stereotypes, which was really nice. The makeup effects on the freaky twin brothers is really good, and a lot of the gore effects in this film are really good. A lot of them are practical as well, I think. What didn't I like about this film? Well, for me, it felt like the ending of the main story was a little abrupt. I would have liked to have seen more of the outcome for the main character, I think, than what we got with the film. Also, this is a tiny peeve, really, but there was a piece of music in the film that was repeated in several scenes that didn't really fit the tone of the film to start off with. And it just had the most annoying sound in it I've ever heard all the way through it. I can't even begin to describe the sound, but once you've seen the film, you will know what I mean. On the whole, the film was really good fun and quite a loving homage to 70s and 80s American horror movies through a Polish lens, which was quite interesting. I would definitely be interested in seeing more work from the director and more Polish horror in general. So, thank you for joining me today. If you've seen either of these movies, let me know what you thought in the comments, and until next time, stay scared.